What's up, everyone? Almost starting actually on time for once. We are live. Welcome back to the Stephie Smalls show. On to week 2. Joining me, I'm actually popping a second Triple S cherry this week. This is the host of the Luck Stops Here podcast with Scott Bowser. This is Scott Bowser. How's it going?
Hey, great stuff. Good to be on here. This is a lot of. I'm looking forward to this. I came prepared, like I showed you before. Yeah, I'm based here in Vegas, so I got my local golf club hat on, but I also have my safari hat.
So important.
Which quite fit on my headphones, but I am going on safari this season, and I will join everyone to join me on this gambling safari. So
this is amazing. I'm obsessed with it. How did week 1 treat you?
Pretty good, actually. Except for I double dipped in a contest entry of 2 out of 5 on Iowa at -2.5, and that just broke my college football. But other than that, I'm surviving and advancing in most contests, and I did my big main event draft for the FFPC last week, so that was fun. And yeah, man, I'm pumped. This is gonna be a good season.
Yeah, see Easy and Armand in the chat. What's up, guys? Yeah, week 1 was good. I think also you still can find places where maybe Vegas it hasn't caught up to some of these players. So there's little ways to kind of get an advantage there. Do you have any like takeaways from Thursday Night Football other than Tua is I shouldn't laugh. That wasn't me laughing out of that was a bad laugh there. I think he's retiring though. Like that feels like the common. We all agree.
Yeah, I mean, rough. Anytime it's head-related injuries, it's just such a rough go at it because it's like, it's one thing. It seems like if someone tears their shoulder, can never throw again. Yeah. It's the head. It seems like they can get back out there, and it's probably not a good idea at this point.
Yeah, it's tough. And he hit his chest too. And like for your body to have that neurological response is like not a pretty sight. And I know he said before that if that were to happen again, he was going to be out. Before we get into some NFL, I did attend the University of Arizona. So I am an alum. And I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that game tonight. 7-point spread, because I think they're going to get beat.
Who are they playing again? Kansas State. You know what? It kind of bums me out what happened to the Arizona program because I really felt like Fish was building that in the right direction. No. And then he leaves and kind of overhauls the entire roster overnight. And so, yeah, if I'm going to take a side on that one, I would probably go to the State. But like, I don't know, something about them seems fraudulent right now. I feel like the refs are they're a team that kind of stood out to me last week that the refs seemed like they were protecting their ranking.
Yeah. No, I am with you on that, even though it doesn't feel great to say. And they can't cover a spread, not really a good sign. And then I will say, like, even in my years, which at this point now is a while ago, NAU kind of always had Arizona's number. So it wasn't like the most shocking thing to see that be closer than it definitely should have been. I think with Arizona, I think they can stay in any game. It just depends on what team wants to show up and if they want to like actually play ball.
Really, this might be, you kind of inspiring me right now to maybe build a teaser around taking Arizona here, bumping that up to like +13.5.
I like it.
And then I don't hate that. A couple other legs around that. But yeah, I feel like they definitely keep it close, keep it within double digits there. And then, yeah.
And I like their players there. Like, there's a lot to like. I did a happiness hedge because I'm sure you know at this point because it's a bunch of shit behind me, but I'm a Giants fan. So things are not great and I'm just expecting the worst. So I just did a happiness hedge and I parlayed Washington Commanders money line and Kansas State -7.5 because I know that, if it doesn't hit, great. It was +240. If it does hit, then at least I have some money after my teams.
The emotional hedging really can be key at times. Like, especially on a season like this for the Giants, I feel like it's not looking good.
Gosh, I know it's so bad, and they'll come up at some point. Before we get into some smash or pass player props, going to do a cash giveaway. So you just need to be subscribed if you're listening now. Also hit that like button. Subscribe if you aren't already. Comment on this video what your lock of the week is. It can be anything. If it hits, I'm going to add all those into one of those little wheels and we'll give away some cash. But with that being said, let's talk about some smash or pass player props. First one I'm going to throw at you, smash or pass, Isaiah Pacheco over 65.5 rushing yards, -110.
Oh, smash that all day.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to feed the beast with him this week. And Yeah, no, he's the guy I've been eyeballing on a lot of stuff. I even like going down to Carson Steele, the backup.
Yeah, I think so too.
You can find him lower end because I feel like it becomes a blowout and he possibly gets work too. But yeah, I love Pacheco this week.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think there was probably like 1 year since Burrow's been in Cincy that the defense has been solid. Like their defense has been like not fucking good. And I think you're seeing that on display. You saw it last week. Stevenson had like an absolute day against this team. It was like 25 rush attempts. That line was 13.5. Gave that out last week. He blew over that number. 120 yards, a touchdown. His longest rush was 17 yards. And the last time Pacheco played here, he had like 130 yards against the Bengals. So I think anyway, I would probably even play this up. I don't even know if I would take the 65.5. I might just take an alt to get the plus sign.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. This could be just one of those ones where I start laddering it at 80 yards or whatever.
Yeah.
Like 90, 100, 110 and just kind of build that up because there could be a big game for him this week. Yeah. I wouldn't hate sprinkling in some of his receiving stuff too, because we know screen pass and like, so if you can also find where I've seen some books where they offer receiving and rushing yards combined. If you can get that over 100, I love that. Like,
I wonder what it's sitting at if I pull it up here. I also like his longest rush. I think if FanDuel has it 15.5 at plus 100. Everywhere else, you could probably get it at like 13 something, but you're getting juice, so I probably wouldn't take that. But 15.5, I mean, he can rip one off quite easily, I think. Yeah. Rushing and receiving, they have him set at 86.5.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, easy, because I also would take, I would take 100 alt for his rushing. So for me, that's a smash spot there. Is there anything else in that game that you like?
Not so much, but I could be talked into some Chris Jones sack stuff.
Yes. I'm getting into those. That's starting to be like, because you know how everyone kind of has like their gambling flavor. Like my thing is always, I like the longest receptions. I like longest rush. I like interceptions. Like that's kind of my jam. But the sacks now, kind of getting into that as well.
Especially when you start thinking of it, you're usually getting pretty good juice on those, even with the top sack guys.
Yeah.
And like a double-digit sack guy, that's basically every other game.
Yeah.
And so when you start like if you're gonna get plus odds on that, I don't know. I love especially putting that in same game parlays. Like that's
absolutely. Let's see if they have. Yeah, they have him over the line at DraftKings 0.75 minus 115. But you can probably find books like Bet Rivers and stuff. You can push that number up a little bit. But yeah, I am totally with you. I know people want to buy back in on Cincy, but
I don't think Burrow's legs are quite right now. That line being shaken. Just Jones is a monster because he's one of those guys that they line up anywhere where there's the mismatch on the line. And a guy like that's going to eat a game like this, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are also like totally ignoring the fact that there's obviously been disruption in that locker room. And there's things going on there that I think are kind of bleeding into the game, which is already, there's some problems and glaring weaknesses that need to be addressed. But yeah, I'm with you. Next one here, a guy that was super silent last week. It's only week 1. We don't freak out, especially a guy like this. He only had 13 yards, 3 receptions last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown over 79.5 receiving yards. Where are you at with him?
I'm on smash on that too.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's one of those guys where it's like, I mean, he's probably going to go for 150 now this week. He's gonna balance it back out real quick. He's one of those list guys. He keeps a list of every guy drafted ahead of him. Trust me.
Is that not annoying or what? How many times? Like how many times are we gonna any opportunity that he can get to read that? Like we fucking know. It was really cool the first time, but then it's over and over again. They also did it in the receiver, like nonstop. We got it. We know.
I feel like he can get a new bit now, and he can focus on the headlines of him.
Something else. Yeah, please. Absolutely. I don't hate, and I don't know what's gotten into me. Maybe I'm just excited about NFL being back, but to score 2 touchdowns plus 650, I really don't hate that because the Bucs secondary is bad.
Well, and I like his catches too in this one. That being said, one thing I found fun with some of these same game parlays is you play like him on the catches and yards, but then you play like Jameson Williams for the touchdown because it correlates weird and it gives you a better juice on the odds.
Yeah, I actually really like the idea that his longest reception also definitely going to be taking that 23.5 minus 106. Really nice number there. I think, with how banged up the Bucs are, Like I just think that Goff's gonna be able to throw a bunch of these balls down, and they're gonna let something up there.
And you know what? I don't hate the Mike Evans stuff in this game either, or Jalen McMillan.
I love Jalen McMillan. That's like one of my favorite bets this week.
Because I think Detroit gets out ahead of him early and big on this one. And there's going to be a lot of garbage time potential in the Bucs offense.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we saw Baker. Like, I think it's time to give Baker his flowers. Like, that guy just needs to be loved and respected. Like, he is balling out. I think their defense is going to struggle a little bit. But, I mean, you saw Stafford be able to throw on this Detroit team. McMillan, I mean, even last week, he had Rashad White. Need to look at what his receiving yards are. He had 75 yards last week. But I think McMillan, what is it sitting at now? I think it was like 28.5 last time I looked. Absolutely love taking that over.
Yeah, I love that anytime touchdown for him last week. That was a lot of fun when he hit that.
Oh, yeah. It's a blast. It's so fun to see the young guys getting success early on.
But yeah, I really like anything involving him this week, really. Because I feel like he's just going to be a bigger part of the game plan week to week, and it might be a while for the books catch up on that.
100%. I am totally with you. Are you a Raiders fan?
No, I'm a Steelers fan, actually.
Oh, that's like all my best friends here are Steelers fans. So I'll have questions for you about that game, actually. But I'm going to give you a Raiders player. Smash or pass. Brock Bowers, 3.5 receptions, the over, -105.
I'm going to pass on that.
Okay.
I like him, but it looks like Mayer's still getting he's splitting time with Mayer. Devontae stuff is comically priced low this week. So I kind of rather lean in that direction. But Antonio Pierce is very frustrating to me right now because he made it seem like Zamir White was going to get the bulk of the workload and they're going to be this running team. And then they feed Alexander Madison. But I feel like right now at his stage in his career, they're kind of going more. They want to really establish him as a blocker first before they're involved in the passing game. So I'm going to stay away from his stuff right now.
Yeah, the Antonio Pierce thing, and I love Antonio Pierce very obviously, but yeah, I don't know about this Raiders team. And I've said it a couple times on the show and even during the summer. Something about this team is giving they're going to put their eyes on the draft at some point. I don't foresee them. It's fun right now. I just think at some point it's going to not be fun.
Yeah. And it just anything involving the Raiders passing game right now, I'm just not a Gardner Minshew believer right now, or Aiden O'Connell for that matter. So it's hard for me to get excited about any of that, even though I do have Devontae in my FFPC main event team. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was so cheap in fantasy too. Yeah. I will say I am in on this one only because he did lead the team in receptions versus the Chargers. He targeted 6 receptions, only came up with 58 yards from it. I think the play is here if he is healthy, dealing with a foot injury practice. You know what the thing is? I'm over injury reports. I actually don't care. I'm done taking them into account because I don't believe anything I hear.
I was just talking about this
where it
used to be so cut and dry where probable, all meant something very specific. And now it's a big blur through the whole thing. And you really have to wait until the 8:30 report Sunday morning.
Even this whole, the one thing with CMC and then this whole pretending Jordan Love might he's not fucking playing. So can we just be straightforward here? Because he's obviously not playing. I see Easy saying that Bowers is dealing with a foot injury. Yeah. I think I probably would still play this year. I don't like his receiving yards just because they are up against Baltimore, which their defense, there is a couple question marks there. What do you think about the spread in this game? Are you still on the Ravens? They're a popular survivor pick too.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Ravens, I guess, in a survivor sense. I'm staying away from the line here. We've seen this before.
Yes.
A year or two ago where the Raiders went in there and were a punt return late from it took a Justin Tucker 60-yard field goal to beat them. So I could see them giving him a game here. I didn't realize Bowers got 8 targets last week. Wow,
he actually. I think he has second or first. I didn't write it down, but I saw a tweet. I think he had the second most. It was either targets or yards, something with amongst all the tight ends in the league. So he was heavily involved.
Yeah, but I got to stay away from that.
Yeah.
The guy I like in this game is Isaiah Likely. We saw him break out in week one. But I saw him at 39.5 yards for this one.
No, come on.
And I mean, And if you look back to week 12 of last year, I did the math on this, including the playoffs, he's had 6 games where he's gone over that number.
Oh my, so, I see a 36.5.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's the play of the game here. Like
that's crazy. Yeah. I'm surprised. And you see this because like Vegas hasn't fully adjusted and maybe they're like, oh, it might've been just a spike game. I don't think it's a spike game. And I said it and people really were not. His longest against Kansas City was 49 yards. So he can get his receiving yards in one catch is what could very much happen here. I wouldn't be surprised. And Twitter was up in arms when I joked about it. I didn't really joke about it. I said, is he maybe the wide receiver 1 on this team? Like, I think you see him be a very big piece. They're going to play a lot of 12 personnel. He's such a dynamic player. And yeah, I'm totally in on that for sure. Seems way too low. It's almost like.
Okay, so since week 12 last year, he had 40 yards, 83 yards, 70 yards, 56 yards, 42 yards, and 31, 34, and then only 16 against Kansas City in the conference championship. And then last week's game. This is not an accident. Like, he's getting a target share. He's getting a workload. No. His number being 16.5 or whatever it was last week, that was my play. I had him at same game parlay with that, the catches, anytime touchdown. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had the ladder on it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I'm going back to the well on him.
I'm with you.
And I saw Andrews was 38.
Really low.
So yeah,
do you think they think Andrews is going to get more involved and that's why? But again, like I think they're going to, like they said, like they're going to have packages specifically designed for him. I mean, they put him on the freaking whatever that was, that game Thursday night or Monday night, whatever. He was on the graphic that the Ravens posted. Like they consider him one of the studs, which he is on this team.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at like Rashad Bateman he hasn't really done much. Like,
oh my gosh, enough with the Bateman, everyone. Like it's done. It's just get over it.
Like usually really competing for targets there with like Zay Flowers and Justice Hill, pretty much. I mean, that's
yeah.
And so, yeah, to me, that's the play of the game there. I mean, that's one of my plays of the week, really. Like,
yeah, Pat asking, what do you think about Justice Hill's receiving prop 13.5?
I love that too.
Yeah, me too.
I tried to pick him up in a dynasty league that I'm in, and somebody went insane to shoot their budget to get him because I think Derrick Henry's cooked, and he's already going to be the check down guy, but I think he's going to get more work on first and second down too. So I love his receiving. That's the way to play him.
Yeah, 100%. If people have watched my content this week, I've brought this prop up a million times, but I feel very strongly about it. And you play fantasy football, so I'm sure you saw a lot of people picking up Ty Johnson.
Yep.
I did not jump the gun on that because I'm not fully convinced that Robinson will not end up getting his too. I just want to see how that plays out. So my pivot was Colby Parkinson over 3.5 receptions plus 125. What are we doing?
They're giving you a juice on that. I love that. I'm a big Colby Parkinson truther this year. Loved him in a lot of my best ball drafts, but yeah, that's a great number for him there, especially if you're getting plus odds. To me, you have to kind of build a same game parlay around that.
Yeah, 100%.
Get him with like the anytime touchdown, and then like maybe some Stafford over 1.5 or something, or take it back with McBride on the other side. Do kind of a tight end, like bring back. Yeah, no, that could be a lot of fun there.
Yeah, and that he was, he's one of those tight ends that kind of got, you hate to say it, but he was in like purgatory in Seattle, where it's like maybe there is like more potential there, but you're on Seattle, so the way that they use them. And he actually led all tight ends in routes run. He ran 42 routes last week.
Well, and also I have a theory that anytime a coach brings in a guy from a division rival, they've seen something on tape that they can use 100%. In their like 100%. So yeah,
that's why you see these guys that you don't hear about or you're not drafting, and then they go to another team and you're like, wait, he's a stud. What is going on?
Yeah, those coaches.
Anything in that game, the Rams game that you like? Arizona going to be feisty again this year, but probably continue to come up short. Anything else you're looking at?
After dropping a dud in his first game, I don't hate the Marvin Harrison Jr. stuff.
I know. CJ loves it too. He's all over getting back in.
Yeah. So like to me, there's such an overreaction to week one sometimes with these rookies. And I feel like he's a fun play this week because
absolutely. Let's see what he's sitting at now. And it's probably ridiculously low. 57.5. So I think it's been bet up a little bit because I don't think that's what it was when CJ was on the show. I see it as high 58.5. I kind of like him to get in the end zone. Is that crazy? What is
this? Not at all. Like I think anytime touchdown play for him is that's probably the best way to play him.
Plus 190, because I could see him maybe not being as heavily involved, but does he get 2 bombs downfield and then walk it in?
Or I could see him having one of those like 3-catch, 50-yard games, but he puts one in, you know?
Yeah, totally agree with you. What props are you looking at? Like, is there a couple that are your favorite?
You know, okay, I was telling Ryan right before we started, your producer here, right before we started recording, I love Deshaun Watson under 20.5 attempts this week.
I'm gonna clip that and then post everywhere you saying I love Deshaun Watson. That's gonna be a clip. Now I have blackmail on you. That's amazing. Okay, what'd you say? Sorry, I got distracted there.
Under 20.5 pass attempts, because I really think he can be benched in the second quarter, and he goes nowhere near that number.
You know what's going to happen to him? And this is I'm allowed to predict it. He was trying. I've never seen a player try so hard to get hurt. He does not want to play. There was a couple. I'm like, you were lowering your head and you want like your neck to snap. Like what? You know what you're doing. He very obviously looked like he wanted to get hurt there. I feel like.
You know, he clearly doesn't want to be out there. And so if a guy who clearly doesn't want to be out there as a starting quarterback, you're telling me the head coach is going to have him throw 21 or more times in a game? Not buying it.
No, absolutely not. Going off of that, I do an anytime touchdown I really like is Jerome Ford to get into the end zone, plus 165. Still a nice number for him there. But again, like the Watson thing, and I think everyone's finally realizing you got to let it go. But again, distractions, again, another lawsuit. They think he made a burner. It's very funny. He like made a Twitter and is defending himself. And then the O-line, I forget which player it was, is now posting on their Instagram story, like basically retaliating, saying like, no, he's an idiot kind of thing. So it's not pretty there. They're ignoring him in the huddle. Like, give us Winston and let's go on our way.
Exactly. And that's why I can't believe they set his attempts that high. I guess for a starting quarterback, if he's going to be starting, they can't set it too low. But I love that. And I also love Jacksonville defense anytime touchdown plus 700.
I like that.
Like let's fade him on that, you know, because there's so many ways he's just going to put it into their hands and not care about this game. I
wonder if you could parlay that with him to throw an interception and what you would get from it.
Oh, you know what? Like if I could get like him under 20.5 completions with the interception and anytime defensive touchdown, that could be a fun same game, right?
That's really fun. And that's the type of parlay that you enjoy sweating out so much. I'll get your opinion.
Play and he gets benched.
And Jameis comes in and he's the hero. We've all been calling for Jameis. Everyone in the world wants to see Jameis play.
Yep.
Like I want to see Jameis play. I would absolutely love that. I'm going to ask you about this parlay because I saw Easy in the chat say, sorry, Smalls, but I like Jaden Daniels over 51.5 rushing yards a lot. Let me get your opinion on this parlay I placed. I like it as well. There's 4 legs. Daniel Jones over 28.5 rushing yards, 60 plus rushing yards for Jaden Daniels. Malik Willis over 31.5 and Richardson over 39.5.
You know, I love that because actually I was looking at all that earlier and I didn't think to put it all together, but I was looking at doing the Malik Willis Richardson one for that game, a game stack, kind of parlaying both those rushing yards. Love it. I also don't hate doing Dan Jones and Jaden Daniels both to throw an interception.
Oh, yeah. You could take their over rushing and over interceptions, and I think you're on to something there.
Yeah. So
what about, is Justin Fields playing? Why they don't have lines out for him yet? Because I wanted to initially my thought was to add him to this as well.
I feel like that they're going to kind of keep that one close to the vest. It seems to me that Tomlin wants to do Russ a solid and get him that revenge spot against Denver.
He deserves. You know what? Listen, I've been very critical of Russell Wilson. I think he is an absolute weenie. Like, I do not like it. He's just not my cup of tea. I think he's a cornball. Like, nothing embodies Russ more. And I'm sure you watched as a fan that preseason game that he was not playing. He stayed fully suited up, but the helmet was on the whole game. I'm like, Russ, 1, you could have wore a hoodie. 2, why the fuck is your helmet on? You look crazy right now. He's a cornball. It's all right, though. But I would love to see him because my other least favorite person is actually Sean Payton. So I would love to see him get that revenge on him.
Yeah, no. So I feel like that they're keeping it close to that. But like, I think that there's going to be Justin Fields packages no matter what going.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. I wonder how long it'll take for Vegas to at least give us a crumb of that.
Yeah, no, that's something to definitely keep an eye on there. But the one I don't hate doing stuff with both Steelers running backs rushing attempts with Harris and Warren, because I think they're both gonna get a lot of work this week. Like,
yeah, I
they're
had
both
Harris anytime touchdown, and I decided to go back to the well. I'm like very much a Najee truther. I think people jumped off that train a little bit too quickly. What did you think about the Steelers as a whole last week?
I mean, I think the defense looks great. But I wasn't too high on Atlanta. I wasn't as high as on Atlanta's offense for this season as a lot of other people are. Like, I'm just but Steelers defense looks great. But I'll say this, and I didn't realize this until like Tuesday or Wednesday when I was looking through like data for the week. They had the number 3 highest pass blocking grade in the league, starting a couple rookies and like a second-year guy and stuff. So this offensive line, if this really gels, I almost think it could be kind of quarterback proof in a way, where as long as they run the ball, protect it, manage the game, and let the defense do its thing, they're going to be in every game. They're not going to get blown out.
And I think that's just the identity of the Steelers. Like, I think every year, and this drives me crazy, everyone just gets really obsessed with trends, and where you can find one trend, you can always find one that knocks that one off. So everyone's just waiting for Tomlin not to have a winning season. Just why don't you just not do that and just take their over wins? Like, that's actually the easier way to go about it. Like, you don't have to big brain it. Like, the Steelers are going to be a solid team.
Well, and especially with the division right now, look at we've said both the Browns and Bengals have major issues. So if we're all agreeing on that, then why don't we like the Steelers that much more? Like,
no, I don't understand. Everyone's just such a hater. I see right now you can get the Steelers over 8.5 wins at plus 104 on FanDuel. I'll probably wait for them to drop a game, but they're a team that I will end up betting the over on their win totals midseason.
And really, you look at this first half of the schedule. There's not. I think the toughest game is the Sunday night spot against Dallas. Like, for the first
schedule is. I don't want to say cakewalk, but it's very winnable.
Yeah, it's very tough in the final few weeks. But hey, if you're 9-3 going into that, you got to like your chances.
Yeah, 100%. Any other props or bets for this week before I start wrapping up and letting you get out of here and not taking your Friday away from you?
I love Jaden Reed this week over 32 yards. Okay, do I think he's going to go huge like he did last week? But he had a 70-yard catch last week. He can do this on one play, 32.5 yards. And go back, his rookie year last year, he had close to 800 yards. That comes out to around, and he only played games. He averaged about 50 yards a game as a rookie. He had a monster week 1. There's nothing to say, even with Malik Willis in there, there's no reason to think that number should be that low. Like, he should be in the 60s minimum. So 32.5 there. Love that. Also, let's go back to the well on Ramondre Stevenson this week.
Let's do it. I love him. Another guy that I stick my chest out for. Give him a break.
Yeah, no, I like the matchup there at home against Seattle. But yeah, it looks like he's going to be the bell cow guy. And so they're going to feed him. 16.5 seems very low there. And he's another guy where if you can combine the receiving with rushing, don't hate that at all. If you want to spice him up a little.
I absolutely like that. Also in that Packers game, running back Wilson, I see them right now. His anytime touchdown is plus 650. I actually thought he looked more dynamic than Josh Jacobs. I think it would be in the Packers' best interest to use him a little bit more, to be completely honest. And I think he looked really good. I don't know if he probably didn't get any.
I still can't get a read on that game, I feel, because of the turf in Brazil. It just seemed like guys were either playing, tripping. And so, like, that Jaden Reed 70-yard touchdown, he had like 2 guys slip and fall, or else it would have not been that kind of big play.
Yeah.
But I do like, I think Josh Jacobs could be in rebound mode, but yeah, he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on. But and also, I just wanted to say, just a shout out to my local bar, because I was going to grab some contest forks there yesterday, and they have 12 buckets of beer for the football season. So if you're in Las Vegas, go to a station property and get yourself $12 for a 5-beer bucket. And it's actually like, it's not just domestics. You can get like mango carts and stuff. Like, they have some decent.
That's amazing.
I just wanted to give a shout out. Yeah.
Is that where you're going to be this weekend?
I am definitely going to go in there at one point this weekend and get some sliders and a bucket of beer. Like that's going to cost me less than $20 to have 5 beers and a nice dinner.
Yeah.
So
I love it. That's less than what I pay for a fucking, like, basically a 4-pack of High Noon. So it sounds like a great deal to me. I'm totally in. Scott, you are fantastic. Let everyone know where they can find your work, and then I'll let you get out of here. And next time I'm in Vegas again, we'll have to hit Circa.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was fun last time we got to hang out.
Oh yeah, it was a blast.
Twitter and Instagram, or x.com and Instagram, depending on how you look at it. At Scott_Bowser. You can also find my show, the Luck Stops Here podcast. I've been on hiatus lately. I'm kind of rebooting some stuff, but I got some fun stuff coming up there. And also, me and Ryan Kramer over at Sports Gambling Podcast, we got a new thing coming up where we play a digital horse racing game. We've got a new show coming out that's going to teach people how to play, build your photo finish live empire, and how you can own a piece of racetracks and all of that. And it's a lot of fun.
I love it. Yeah. And if I were to make like the ultimate Vegas squad, like you and Kramer would be on it. So like I'm giving like my blessing, like go check that out. Go check out Scott's stuff. Scott, you've been fantastic. We'll definitely have to get you back on, and go enjoy your Friday.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was a blast.
Of course. Anytime. See ya.
All right.
Hi, Jason Gold. What's up? How's it going?
It's going great. Excited for week 2.
Yeah, me too. Before we jump in, Arizona, Kansas State, thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
I like the over in that game.
Yeah, I think.
How do you feel? It's your Wildcats.
I don't feel great, but I also am like a really I'm very pessimistic about my sports teams in general, to the point where like I think I'm going to switch my NBA team officially, because we can't be doing this year round like this. I did a happiness hedge, which that's your thing. I stole that from you. I did that from Kansas State -7.5 and Commanders to win +244. That's not a bad number. And then if it doesn't hit, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I really don't know what to expect tonight. Friday night games are always a little bit weird. Traveling on the road's terrible. Arizona definitely looked ahead last week. I think they won 22-10. McMillan only had 2 catches for 11 yards. So I expect a bounce back performance offensively from them. They're going to hit some big ones with Fafita down the field, but Kansas State in Manhattan on Friday is going to be, that's always a dicey proposition. So hopefully there's a lot of points.
I hope so too. It depends what Arizona team you're getting. Week 1, any like big week 1 takeaways that won't come up while we're going through our picks here?
Other than Carolina's the worst NFL team I've ever seen, and I'm going to be betting them, and already have twice this week again.
You have to.
It's all good.
You have to. That's the
Gotta
thing. Also, I guess let's talk Survivor really quick. Chargers. If I tweeted it out, if I can avoid the Chargers the whole season using them in Survivor, I will, because I'm always on the wrong side, and I always know that they're a team that you almost don't know, because they can just drop the ball at any point. So I'm not taking them. I'm kind of between. Thoughts on the Colts this week?
No, absolutely not. Wouldn't do it. So, my general Survivor strategy.
I'm not taking Baltimore, so don't tell me to take Baltimore.
Yeah, the general strategy for me, at least early in the season, is you want to take a team at home, you want to take a team that's a favorite, and you want to not have division. So Indianapolis kind of breaks that rule by being on the road. I don't really want any part of that. I don't think it's a great spot for it. All the sharps are coming in on Green Bay. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. In terms of other teams that I think are acceptable to use this week, if you're not going to use Baltimore, which is fine, I think most people are going to take Baltimore. That's the easy way out this week. Dallas, Houston, Philly, Detroit are all, I think, pretty safe options there. There's a lot of options this week. One of those teams comes to my mind depending on how your Survivor's set up. Like if you have to save some of those teams for Christmas or Thanksgiving games, maybe you want to hold on to them. But there's 4 teams there. You should be able to figure out one that works for whatever league you're in. Yeah,
I'm with you. Kind of actually leaning Dallas, even though it's gross. I ended up taking Bucks. I stood on business last week. Nice. I listen. I did not pound on my chest all off season about how bad the Commanders O-line to not take them. Like I was like, we're just going to push the narrative. I'm going to just click it and stay. I don't know why I keep wanting to take Seattle. I'm not going to take Seattle though, because I do think New England's a little bit scrappier than everyone.
Yeah, I took the Seattle last week actually, so I'm happy I got them kind of out of the way. I wouldn't take them against New England. I think they'll win, but there's a lot of injuries on that offensive line. We don't know what's up with Ken Walker. And New England proved like they have a path to win games. They have to jump out to a lead. This is not a team that can come from behind. But if they jump out to a lead, they have a strategy on how that they can play football and win games. So no, I wouldn't play that game at all.
Yeah, I dropped the bomb on my show Wednesday that like I genuinely think there's a world where New England's record is going to shock people. Like I think that if you can get 4 wins from Jacoby, and then when Jacoby starts being a backup again, like he is, and you bring Drake May in, and you're telling me they can't sneak out another 2-3, like I think we're looking at a 6-7 win team.
Well, there's 2 things there. One, did you see the report that Jacoby's only taking 70% of the starter snaps?
No,
and Drake
so
May's
no
taking
one
30?
tells me anything.
I've never seen a report like that before in the NFL where a backup quarterback is still getting 30% of the QB1 snaps in practice during like a game week. That's really surprising. It probably means that they have a plan to play May at some point this season, which I think is pretty logical given where they're probably going to be. And then, all right, so this week they may catch Seattle in a really bad spot. Like they're traveling a long way. They have injuries. Like there's a chance that New England wins this game. And then they get the Jets on Thursday night at home. And the Jets are in this really weird spot where they just played Monday. They're playing Sunday on the road, 2 road games. Now they're playing I think that game's in New England. Regardless, they're going to be on a short week again. Like the Jets are in a really tough spot. There's a chance New England comes out of this, shockingly, at 3-0, and everybody's like, what the fuck is going on here?
And you know what's crazy? Then they go to the 49ers, they'll get rocked. And then Dolphins come to them. Tua probably is not playing at that point. I think that they can beat Miami at home. Texans come to them, probably a loss there. Then they have Jags, Jets again, Titans, Bears, Rams. Like, I don't know. This schedule's like not horrible. Like, I think I see wins there for the Patriots.
I'm not going to overreact to one game versus Cincinnati, where I know I'm kind of making the point here, but I'm not going to overreact to one game in Cincinnati, where Cincinnati always sucks at the beginning of the year. But the Patriots have a path to win. They were more impressive than I thought they'd be. Let's see if they put up a real fight against Seattle and win this game. I will be sufficiently impressed for where New England can go this year.
I love it. Which, like, I don't root for the Patriots, so I'm kind of like in on them this year. Like, I'm like pro Patriots. Let's get into 3, 2, 1. What's the first spread pick that you are looking at?
All right, so this is kind of a weird one. Week 2, traditionally, you want to buy back on the dogs that performed terribly in week 1. There's some of those spots, but I'm fully laying lumber this week. I don't care. We're going down with the ship.
Okay.
My first one is Dallas -6. I think it's a hammer spot for Dallas.
Yeah, 100%. And Dallas is better at home. I'm not even going to play games with that game. Like, I'm totally with you.
Week 2, Mike McCarthy's a monster. They're way better at home. They've won their last 16 regular season games at home. New Orleans, it seems like, I think the formula for New Orleans is if you get pressure on Derek Carr, they suck. If you can't and you're Carolina, that offense can be really, really good. Dallas is going to get home. Obviously, they're monsters at home. I would take this, like the line at circa 6.5. I'm going to take that. I would take this to 7. Probably not past that, but if it got to 7.5, I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
Great teaser piece. So I'm all in on Dallas this week.
Yeah, the Saints aren't really a team that I like to take them when they're at home. But other than that, like this is another, again, we talked about it last week. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking first coach fired and they're just purposely like essentially tanking towards the draft at some point. Like that wouldn't shock me at all. I think the Cowboys are good. I think the Cowboys in the flow chart you see all the time where they're really excited right now. That's where we're at. That will all go to shit once they get to the playoffs. But right now is still a good time to take Dallas.
Yeah, definitely. I like Dallas this week. Who do you have as your number one?
Okay, I'm not getting cute with it, and I know that their secondary is banged up, but it was the first click I made. Bucks plus 7.5 Like, I understand that the secondary, like I hear everyone, but I think covering the 7.5 when this is probably going to turn into a shootout regardless. You saw Stafford be able to throw the ball all over Detroit. Sorry, Easy. I know you're in the chat and an Lions fan, but I think the Bucs still are not getting the credit they deserve. I think their right tackle might be banged up, but I thought I saw that he was going to be fine to play. I think 7.5 is a lot of points for this team.
Our first head-to-head.
Okay.
Circa -7. I like Detroit in this spot.
Well,
I just think that Tampa's way overrated based on what happened last week versus what you said, and I agree with, is the worst defense in the NFL. Detroit's, I mean, we can say, yeah, Stafford threw it all over the field. They only gave up 20 points to a competent Rams offense. And Tampa Bay's defense doesn't inspire anything for me. I think Detroit's going to have their way. Coming off Sunday night's a little bit weird, but Tampa has to travel. I mean, Tampa played really well in that playoff game last year. They still, they lose by 8? So I don't know. I like Detroit in this spot. I'll take the -7, but favorite way to play this, obviously, teaser 7-1. There's a bunch of ways to play it this week.
Yeah. All right. What are you looking at for the next one here for you?
All right. I'm going to lay one more big one, then I'll go towards the dogs here. Houston -6.5 on Sunday Night Football versus Chicago. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Chicago's in a world of hurt. They're coming off of a game where they couldn't do anything offensively. Defensively, yeah, they're great, but Houston has the tools to take them down. Houston at home. I don't know how Chicago's going to score. Even if Keenan and Rome do play in this game, I think it's going to be dicey. I don't expect Rome, definitely, I don't think is going to play. And Keenan probably 50-50, but I think this is a smash spot for Houston.
Yeah, absolutely. This was my second one as well. I think, listen, Caleb, you saw what he did against that defense. This defense is better, in my opinion. I think the Texans are going to lean into the fact that it's their home opener. This is very exciting for them. They're coming off a really nice season. They're a good football team. We don't see that sophomore slump that everyone was so excited and wouldn't shut up about all summer. So I am with you. I would lean that as my second one for sure.
Like it. I'm glad that we're on the same page.
Yes. What are you at for your last one here?
All right, here. I'm going to give you the choice here. So I'm going to go to the model that I used and talked about last week. It was up 6.5 units. It hit all the 3 stars, which is a good start, but I'm not going to overly rely on it. But the 3-star plays that it has this week would be Minnesota +5, Tennessee +3.5 against the Jets, the Carolina Panthers +6. I know it's 4.5, 5 right now in the market, but Circle's at 6, so we'll call it 6. And then it has Kansas City -5.5 would be the other one. So of those 3 dogs, let's talk about the dogs. So Minnesota, Carolina, Tennessee, which of those do you lean towards the most?
I love 40. The way I played the Vikings game, I'm taking 49ers on the money line. Like, the Vikings can get cute and maybe have a backdoor recovery here. I just think this is going to be, I'm happy that the Vikings fans had their little parade and they're so excited, but I think they're going to get a fat piece of humble pie this week. So that game, other than, I probably am not touching it, but I get liking the +5.5. Like, I don't hate that.
Yeah.
What were the other 2 you said?
Carolina and Tennessee.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Vikings before I?
Oh, so the Vikings one is like, it's just a terrible situational spot for San Francisco off of a win Monday Night Football traveling on the road. Traditionally, it's a really bad spot. They lost in a similar spot last year, albeit they didn't have Trent Williams at the Vikings. Kyle Shanahan, usually the year after losing to him, is really good. So I'm a little mixed up on that one. I did bet Minnesota earlier in the week at +6. That's a great number, obviously. 5 in the market makes it a little bit dicier.
Also, Darnold's old team. Like, I feel like that's totally being ignored. Like, I think, like, if any team is going to know, first of all, it shouldn't be that hard to get pressure on Darnold, and that's how you beat him. You just get him nervous. Like, you get him to see ghosts, make him make mistakes. That's his team. Like, I think they're going to know exactly what to do to make him sweat.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, which is kind of why I'm not leaning against the pick. I'd still side on Minnesota, but in terms of taking like our favorite bets on the board, I think the one that, so there's a service that sent out Jets -3.5 earlier in the week and took the number up to 4.5. Now it's looking like it's back at 3.5.
Yeah.
I think it's a really shitty spot for the Jets, but a team that desperately needs a win, and we saw what Tennessee's offense did last week. It's a kind of a get-right spot for the Jets defense. I don't love it, so that would be a stay away. Carolina +6. this is gross, right? It's a pure throw up bet. But if we're just talking about it, like the Chargers offense isn't going to score that much. Their defense, while they looked good last week, isn't probably right now a top 8, top 10 unit. They're at home. 6 points is a lot to cover on the road, especially if you're not going to be putting up 30 points, which the Chargers aren't. So, yeah, I could see a 20-17 Chargers win all day long in this game. So I like Carolina +6 in Circa.
Yeah. I think I lean the other way. I actually like the Jets this week, so I probably would lean towards that. But I think Carolina covers this. Like, I think it's gonna. I understand how horrible they looked. Like, trust me, I get it. Their defense, like, there was things to like there. I know it's like sounds gross, but I don't know. Chargers headed all the way that way. I like them both, honestly. I would take both of those.
Yeah. The Carolina one, just like the Derek Brown thing, kills them against the Chargers because Dobbins and Edwards are going to go crazy. But, it shortens the game. You just need Bryce Young to score. I think if they score 14 points, they're going to cover this number.
I don't think Chargers looked impressive. Like, I don't.
Like they played a very Harbaugh game, but that's exactly what they have to do. Like, at the end of the day, you don't have to look that impressive. The job is to get a win, which is, I think that's what Harbaugh does better than anyone else. Like, it's not going to look pretty, but get the job done.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Money line, your 2 money line. What's the first one that you're looking at?
I'm actually going to break the rule. I'm going 3 dogs. I don't care. Give me Green Bay. Give me Denver. Give me the Giants. I think there's a case for all of them to come out with a win. I like them in a round robin. I think 2 of the 3 of them come out ahead and win a game here. So, that's kind of where I'm going.
Yeah. Listen, everyone's gaslighting me about the Giants, and that's fine. But again, just remember who has talked about the Commanders all fucking offseason. The glaring weaknesses on these 2 teams, on that team is what? The secondary and the O-line. I think the Giants are a very, 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 very bad football team. I don't think they're as bad as they played on Sunday. They're still bad, but they're not like complete. Maybe they are. We're going to find out. But I don't think they're as shitty. You didn't see Burns. You didn't see Kayvon, who loves to disappear. But Kayvon also likes to show up when he plays against Washington. I think if they can get a pass rush on Daniels, like, I can see this going over. I could, Forbes is out. They have Michael Davis is who's filling in for him, who is nothing impressive either. I think that this is the game to just, last week was the game too, but throw the ball. I think that the Giants should be able to score points against this team.
We'll talk about the total in a second because we're kind of leaning the same direction here.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, if you look traditionally at how Daniel Jones matches up against Washington, now I know it's a new defense and whatever, but he generally plays well against
5-1-1.
The Washington franchise. So I think it's a good spot for him. It's a good bounce back. Everybody, like, the market's probably not going to get any lower on the Giants than it is right now. And if there's any game to unleash Malik Neighbors, it's this one against that secondary. And now they're without Emmanuel Forbes. So I think the Giants will be able to find success going down the field. As long as you can kind of corral Daniels and not let him do stuff down the field, I think it's okay. And if he's trying to dance around too much, like, your advantage is on the line. So
yeah,
I like the spot for the Giants. The other 2 I'll quickly run through. Yeah. Denver, like, Mike Tomlin is a favorite on the road, usually a really bad spot. Going to Denver early in the season, September, when you're not quite worked up, physically yet, bad spot for the Steelers. It's still Justin Fields. I think it's a good spot for a young Denver team to come out and play well. So I'll take a little bit on there.
Does that change if Russ plays?
Russ isn't starting this game, so I'm not even thinking about it now. I think there's 0% chance. If in the off chance that he does, then it turns into a revenge game factor. I'd be a little less inclined to do it, but I don't think there's any chance of that seriously happening this week.
Okay, fair.
And then Green Bay, I got to take the shot on Malik Willis. I got to do it. How do you feel about it?
Well, what's my thing? Do we end up calling it something? The backup? I don't know what it is. The backup pick.
Oh, yeah. This is right up your alley. I forgot.
Listen, and I'm an idiot because I should have thought that with Sam Darnold too, because maybe it starts earlier in the season. I used to think maybe we got to wait week 3, week 4. No, that's the thing. Like, that's why I'm staying away from that Colts line, the Packers, because maybe there's something to the backup quarterback's first start. I mean, that was very profitable last year, and I usually always go right to it. It's just hard because Malik Willis is really bad.
I don't know what I'm up with for maybe the Big Balls backup hammer or something like that.
Something, yeah, backup hammer. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm all in. Like next week, Dolphins. I don't even know who the fuck they're playing. I don't care who they're playing. I promise you, I'm hammering them.
Love it.
Yeah. So mine, yeah, I like 49ers, like I said, money line. And then also like Rams money line. I think Cardinals can put up a fight, but I think they're going to be the same thing as they were last year because they chose to just completely ignore their defense. So I think, maybe it's a close game. Maybe they stay in it till the end, but they end up dropping the ball. Total wise, where are you leaning?
All right. I'm going to give out all the totals that I already bet this week. A lot of these numbers are gone, but you'll Philadelphia under 48. I think it's 47.5 right now. I don't trust that Atlanta offense at all. I think it'll be kind of low scoring, and I think that Philadelphia is going to end up coming out with a win and a cover there. Kansas City over 46.5. That number is now 48. I still like it a little bit. Generally points in this game, and I think that Kansas City's defense will be a little bit more exposed, and Cincinnati will have a little bit more success here. Tampa Bay over 48. The number's 51.5. I kind of still like the over. Both offenses are going to get cooking in that game a little bit. And then the one that I really am the highest on this week, we just talked about it, but I bet the Giants Washington over 42. That number is 43. I think there's a lot of room to still go up there. I think you can get probably a 40, 45, 46. I don't know if it's going to jump up that high, but I would bet it to that number.
Yeah, it looks like it's at 43.5 right now. I'm with you. And maybe I was stupid. I did it last week with the Giants game, but I think you look at these two teams. The Commanders gave up 6.4 yards per play last week, and the Giants gave up 6.1. This game's going over. Whether you think these are two bad teams, whether you think the Giants are I foresee this going over. It's a divisional game. Giants tend to play well in Washington. I'm still leaning that Washington gets the job done here, but I also, again, don't believe that the Giants can do anything. But what was the other one I was looking at? I like the Seahawks Pats to go under. Oh, it came down quite a bit. It's 38.5. I still kind of like the under, to be honest. I got the 41. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I like the under there too. You're probably running out of room to bet the under.
Yeah.
I probably stop like right around there, but yeah, I still lean towards the under. I think that's like a 20-17 game all day.
Are you staying away from Bears Texans 45.5? Did you say that one? No, right?
I bet Houston in that game. I haven't bet a total. 45.5 to me seems like the right number. The projection I had on it's 46. So yeah, I wouldn't touch that one really.
Yeah, no. What's Dallas's total? Has that moved?
Like
that was the other game, but I'm being a little too nice about Dallas, I think. What is it?
I think it's like 46.5 or 47. I have to find it right now. I know the 20, like 22.5 over first half there. It's now 23.5. So I wouldn't play it anymore.
46.5. All right, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other spread picks, dogs, anything that you didn't get to mention?
I think that I talked about all the ones. The other game that I was kind of interested in that I haven't quite figured out what I want to do right now is Cleveland-Jacksonville. I'm interested in the potential buyback on the Browns at +3. I think this number is going to tick down to 2.5 by the time that kickoff happens.
Yeah.
Browns are gross, obviously, but I don't really trust Jacksonville. And after what we saw from Miami last night, I'm not sure that I really trust anything that we saw out of Jacksonville in that game. They also lost both their cornerbacks, and this is a team that wanted to go man-to-man, so the Browns could find some success in the passing game. Everybody's obviously all out on Deshaun Watson after that game, but remember, you're going up against the Cowboys. The defense is really good. So
100%.
I'm leaning towards betting Cleveland at +3.
If you offered me, like, I don't know what the odds would have to be. I'd have to think about it. But like odds on seeing Jameis Winston this week, like I would probably sprinkle on it. I'm being so fucking for real too.
No, I get it. There's a good chance that at some point he's the starter, and probably a good chance that happens without an injury happening to Deshaun Watson.
Well, he's gonna like fake an injury because basically he was trying to get himself killed in that game. It was atrocious to watch. I kind of lean the under in this game. Otherwise, probably staying away. Like Jerome Ford to score a touchdown. Bigsby also looked low-key better than ETN. Did you notice that? Or
I did notice that. I may have made some plays in fantasy based on that. I might have been
You?
overreacting, but he looked good.
Yeah, absolutely. Any player props that you're eyeing this week before we start wrapping up and I let you get out of here?
Yeah, I'll read off the 5 that I've made so far. Bryce Young under 194.5 passing yards. I think that Carolina's gonna have to win that game on the ground, or at least be competitive on the ground. Derrick Henry over 72.5 rushing yards. That's self-explanatory. It's the Raiders. They should have a big day on the ground. Jacoby Brissett, longest completion under 31.5 yards. Seattle's defense is really good. I don't think they're going to be able to get anything down the field. J.K. Dobbins and Isaiah Pacheco over 14.5 longest rush. Both of them have good spots to break off a couple long ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I gave out Pacheco too, I think. And you can get it plus 100 over 15.5. I still think he clears that. Like I was saying before you jumped on, his line's at 65.5 rushing yards. Like I'm probably playing that at just taking an alt on him and like going to the 80 plus, 100 plus, or taking the rushing and receiving combined. Listen, all week everyone's gaslighting me about Malik Neighbors. I don't give a fuck. Was it knee, shoulder? I don't know. I see Darius in the chat. He'll probably correct me. His longest reception over 22.5. His second catch was 25 yards. He had 7 targets, 5 receptions, 66 yards. Washington's secondary is so bad. Like, it's not good. He doesn't even need to get that many targets for him to go over this. Also, probably just playing him on alt yards. I will not admit that if I end up betting it. But I do.
I'll admit it. I love him 80,
100
100. I think it's going to be a monster. Yeah.
Someone get the number. Right. Find the number. What is it? 100 plus and a touchdown?
I think it's going to be a monster game for Neighbors. And if you're not starting Neighbors this week, why'd you draft him?
Yeah, 100%. And
this
even
is
like
the spot.
Right. He's still going to get his, like whether that means at some point Danny is not the starting quarterback this year. Like I still think Neighbors is going to be fine. And if you need a flex option, and I did bet on this, Wan'Dale Robinson to go over his 35.5 receiving yards, 11 targets last week. Like they are going to use him. Again, secondary is not good. DJ loves him, has a good relationship with him. Top 10 in target share amongst wide receivers week 1. Like there's a lot to like about Wan'Dale. He's finally healthy. I think 35.5 against this team is not asking for a lot.
He had the ultimate garbage Eckler special last week, just getting peppered when they were down 22 points. So we'll see. I mean,
like, his brain is not working well, so he's just looking for people he knows. He's confused. It's okay. He's trying his best. Speaking of Eckler, probably my favorite bet this week, and I bet it in several different alt markets. Austin Eckler over 19.5 receiving yards is a stupid line. I think Jaden Daniels, you saw even the way Cliff was setting it up for, the running back or a tight end to be available for him if he panics and can't throw it downfield. My expectation is that the Giants pass rush, that all we've talked about, what they're paying for, shows up this week against that O-line. He's gonna feel the pressure, and he's gonna be like, oh, Eckler, and dump it off. Even Ertz, I'm sure those lines are very, very low. But I like Eckler to go over that 19.5.
Nice. I like that too.
Yeah. Let's see if there's anything. What's else? You can help me decide one of my quad Ds, and then we can wrap up.
All right, cool.
Okay, DK Metcalf. First of all, Patriots cornerback Christian Gonzalez is ridiculous. Like, I don't know if you guys saw this tweet, and I feel bad. I don't remember who I saw it from. You look at the wide receivers he's gone up against, and it's like Chase. He had 20 routes and 3 receptions for 15 yards. Tyreek Hill, 17, 0 receptions, 0 yards. And like, he has locked up all these guys. I like DK Metcalf to go under one of the two. And I think he only had 23 yards last week. Under 54.5 yards, or, and I've never bet these before, but this is fun, under 22.5 longest reception.
Oh, I kind of like the total yards there.
Okay, I think so too. So that'll be my dud of the week. And I'll post the quad Ds after the show. And the only other guy I'm waiting for is I'd like to find something on Wilson, the running back for the Packers, because I think that I think they should look to him a little more. I thought he looked good.
Was it Emmanuel Wilson? Yeah, there's the guy that no one knew who the hell he was backing up Josh Jacobs last Friday.
Yeah. And I started betting on him like towards the end of the season. He kind of sneaked in. He had one red zone touch. I like him to get into that. Honestly, it's like plus 850 or something. I forget what I said earlier when I was looking at it, but I don't mind sprinkling on him anytime touchdown.
They're going to have to get that running game going, and you can't give Jacobs 30 carries in that game against the Colts. Colts defense got ate up by the Houston Texans running game last week. DeForest Buckner's a little hurt, so it should be a good running game for the Packers, especially if I think that they have a chance to win that game.
Yeah, 100%. Any last locks?
I don't have any last locks that we haven't talked about.
No. Okay.
No, I think we went through everything.
Awesome. All right. We had a good week last week. Week 2 will be better. Go enjoy your Friday. I'll see you next week.
All right. See you, Smalls.
See ya.
Take care.
And I can wrap up here, honestly. Producer Ryan, you want to jump on?
I didn't know I was coming in. I thought you were just.
I couldn't decide. Well, I wanted to tell you because I did spring the giveaway thing on you quickly. I forgot to tell you. I've been a little bit of a space cadet. If you did not hear me, going to do a cash giveaway. Comment on this video. You have to be subscribed. Your lock of the week. If it hits, you'll be entered to win the cash. So pretty simple. What are you doing this weekend? Anything fun?
They have to
comment
on the actual video, not in the live chat.
Yes. So I did see people doing that. So
because some people were already putting them in the live chat. They're locked.
Yes, I did see
that.
Doesn't
count because we can't go back and look at those.
Yes, thank you for being an adult and clarifying that for everyone because I would not have done that. Do you have big plans this weekend before we get out of here?
I'm going to the Diamondbacks game tonight with my family.
I love it.
And then just going to watch a lot of football. That's all I'm doing all weekend.
All right, cool. Hopefully this might be the last Giants game I watch all season. Be sure to subscribe, like, rate, review. Podcast form will be out, but you've already watched it, so you won't need that. Still helps if you go review those and subscribe over on Spotify and Apple. And we'll be back Wednesday. I have 2 really fun shows next week. The guests are a blast, so we're going to have a good time and go enjoy the weekend.
Right. We aren't doing Monday shows. Did we formally announce that? We are not doing Monday shows.
We didn't formally announce it, and we're going to flirt with it. We're going to see. We're going to see. But I think, it's a little overdone, and we're doing them so late. But if people want the Monday show, I will always be a trooper and do it.
All right. Well, keep us commenting, guys, and enjoy, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yeah. Cheers.
Best of luck.
Watch him make it, break it.